First list I pulled.
First list you pulled ended up being a winner deal in there.
Yep.
Yeah. So guys, if you don't know, if you're listening to this and you're watching this, we developed a new software called Propwire. And the idea behind it was, typically right now for data, there's a paid subscription model. So the typical model is you pay $100 a month and you get access to 10,000 downloads, which if you're in this business very long, you'll quickly learn that 10,000 downloads is nothing. Like you can burn through that number of a list pretty quickly. What we thought was, well, what if we could spend the money to create the software that would do it? And then the data itself, you have to buy that data. And so there's a cost for that as well. But what if we could provide that and make it free? Free searches, free downloads. But it really is going to revolutionize the industry. Like I really don't see why everybody in real estate would not have a Propwire account because it's free. And the data is just as good or better than any other provider out there. So that brings us all the way back to Matt Spinks. He's now in his house.
Yeah.
So Matt, let's talk about what you did. Let's talk about the list you got first. So you went on the Propwire, and then What list did you pull first?
Tired landlords.
Okay. Why'd you pick that one? Any particular reason?
It's easier to talk to investors, because they're aware of what the property's worth and all that. They're aware of how much rehab costs and all that. It's just I've actually had a lot of success with it. I started with tired landlord list, and I've honestly done so well with it. I've just stayed on them.
Yeah, that's great. Some of the benefits of tired landlords are that because they're investors, right? And just so you know, if you're listening, tired landlord means it's an absentee owner. So the property is not their primary residence. That's called an absentee owner. So they don't live in the home that they own. But then tired landlord would mean that it's an investment property, and maybe they're burned out from owning that property as a rental. So when a landlord gets tired of the rental property, let's say it's got high turnover, they've had a bunch of issues with tenants, they're sick and tired of rehabbing it and toilets and turnover and tenants and all of that, then they get tired, very common, especially with mom and pop, owner operators. They're not really set up for, a lot of properties. So they tend to be doing things themselves. So when they hit that burnout phase, they're possibly ready to get rid of that property and let it go at a discount. That's a tired landlord. I'm like Matt. I love tired landlords for one primary reason. It's not an emotional experience. Now, maybe they're like tired of it and sick of it and want to get rid of it. But what I mean is when it's not their personal residence, then it's just another asset that they'll gladly get rid of if everything makes sense. So it's different than someone who lost their job, or they're going through probate or pre-foreclosure. That brings on a whole nother level of emotion, and you have to wear a different hat where you have to sympathize and have empathy and understand what they're going through and understand their pain point. The tired landlord, it's just right to it. Like you get to cut all that, and you get to get does the number make sense? If it does, I'll sell it to you. End of the story. So it allows you to kind of be more direct, right to the point. And so that I just love, because it's just a business decision now for that person. That's it. It's a business decision. If it makes sense, they'll sell it. So anyway, we have that lead. So when you go into Propwire and you go to the lead type, and you can download, and it'll pull tired landlord. And I don't know if you did this, Matt, tell me if you did this, but you can actually add additional filters, and you could say, needs to be out of state, or tired landlords that happen during a certain time frame, and whatever other filters you want to put on there. Did you add additional filters, or just take the main list?
No, I add filters. I try to find the most motivated sellers. I do individual property owners. I make sure they own 3 or more properties. I make sure the property was built after 1960. And before 1990 or 95. Just because of the codes and everything back then before 1960. And I also do years of ownership.
Great. I was going to ask that one. Great.
Yeah. I at least put 4 years.
Okay.
On, I've just had great success with those filter stacks right there.
Awesome.
And, yeah.
Did you guys hear that? This is a technique called list stacking, where you add other filters onto the lead type. And what it's going to do is the more filters you add or the more stacking you do, then the smaller the list is going to be, but also the more powerful the list is going to be. So, like you could start with, like, if you just took high equity, for example, you're going to have 30,000, leads that it might pull or whatever it pulls. But that's just very broad now, because it's like all properties that have high equity. Well, you could market to that entire list, but you're going to go through a lot of leads to find then, one good warm seller. Whereas you could also stack it up to where now you're down to, let's say, 1,000, but now that 1,000 has multiple intent points or pain points or motivation points on the lead. Okay, so good. So you did a tired landlord list, you filtered it, you got that list, downloaded it, and then did you skip trace it, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I skip traced it.
Okay. And then did you cold call or text?
Cold call. I'll cold call. If I don't get an answer, I'll send a text then.
Okay. So you do so I think cold call and text have to go together. So you cold called with a follow-up text.
Yep.
Because why not? Like, they're both, you can build both right together, and now you're touching them twice, right? Or you're trying to. Yeah. So do you have a cold caller, or were you personally cold calling and texting?
I don't trust anybody to do my cold calling but me.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Now you're going to run into a scale problem at some point, but get it, right? So how big was your list that you cold called?
It went from 6,000 to 200.
Okay. So you got a very condensed list, and then you jumped on the phone and you started calling. Well, you skipped it. Then you jumped on the phone, called and text. And when you called, how far in until you found your winner deal, would you say?
The bees.
How many?
The bees.
Oh, and the bees. Oh, B. Yeah. So last name B.
I got a deal in B.
So maybe what? Probably 20, 30 in?
Not even. It was 15.
Yeah. So 15 calls in, you're on the B, because it's an alphabetical order, right?
Yeah.
So you hit the B names, and then you get this seller who says, so tell us how the conversation went. What did you say and what did they say back?
Well, at first, actually, it was the property I called that from Propwire. He wasn't interested in selling that one, but his brother had two properties that he was interested in selling. And so he ended up telling me those addresses. I did my research and I told him, I'd be interested in buying those two properties, and those two properties on one lot. And I let him say the number first. They wanted 160 for them. I sat down at the table with them a couple of days after they had told me the price. I told them that I'd be back in touch with them. And then I sat down at the table 2 days later and went over everything.
In person? In person?
Yes.
Okay. I forgot to ask, what market is this?
Knoxville.
Okay, great. So you met the seller and sat down with the seller on appointment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. Went to their house with the 160 purchase price that they wanted. I ended up actually going out to the properties that I was going to get under contract and found some problems with it. So I just took my camera and took pictures of the problem areas and wrote down quotes of estimates of how much it was going to cost to fix that. And then with that information, I was able to bring them down another 20,000 down to 140.
Okay, so you used your inspection, basically. You did the inspection, but you used your walkthrough to highlight some of the issues as leverage to why you needed a bigger discount on the price. Yep. Okay, smart. Yep. Very smart. Yep. And when you met the seller, though, it wasn't at the properties for sale. It was at a different location.
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
It was.
Okay. So you sit down with him. He wanted 160 and you said 140.
Yeah.
And did he counter that or just take it?
Nope. He signed right away.
And you came ready to sign. So you had a contract in hand.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep. I had already filled out and everything. I just let the purchase price blank.
Yeah. So then it was pre-filled out. You agreed on 140. He signed it. Now you had an executed contract. Love it. Yep. Awesome. And then at that point, now it's time for phase 2, right? Which is dispo. How do you find a cash buyer? So what was your strategy for finding your buyer?
I actually went to an investor meetup for the first time down here. And it was an amazing meetup. There was over 150 people there. So a lot of networking. And I pitched it to this girl that I had met there. And she's actually fixing flips herself. But she was like, I can't pick it up myself, but because I'm doing a flip right now. But I have someone that will buy that if you're willing to do a JV. And I was like, yeah, as long as you sell it for 160. Well, she actually ended up selling it for 170.
Nice.
And we did a 60-40 split on that 30,000.
60 to you or her?
60 to me, 40 to her.
60 to you. Okay. So guys, you don't always have to do 50-50. You can do another split. Yeah. So she got 170. So it was actually a 30K gross wholesale.
Yeah. 10,000 more than I wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was really, I mean, when we count a wholesale, we usually think about what we take home, but if you think about it, that was a 30K wholesale deal, $30,000 wholesale deal. And you got 60%. So what was that? 19,000?
18,000.
18,000 was for you. Love it.
Yeah, for a phone call and a meeting.
For 15 phone calls in, and a meeting. I mean, you did your work, right? And I think you see the bigger picture. You were probably willing and probably did call all 200 phone numbers or how many ever addresses you were able to skip trace and get a number for. Your mindset is, I'm going to call because there's a deal in here. And if there's not a deal in this list, I'll pull another list. Like that's the business, right? So do you look at it that way? Do you look at it like I'm willing to do the work? And I know that if I do the work and I put in the time and I make the offers, I'm going to see results.
Yes. As soon as they accepted and I had a signed offer, I actually went back to my house and started cold calling.
Right again on another list.
Yeah, no, the same list. And actually, I just got a signed contract for another deal from the same list.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. Man, that is so awesome.
And it's a crazy deal, Jerry. This is actually going to be the biggest deal I've ever done. It's 59 acres. I got it under contract for 155,000. The ARV on this thing is over 300,000.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, this one, that's what I was just coming back from the car ride. I had just sit down with a homeowner and got the contract signed.
So you have that contract.
Yeah.
So tell the numbers again. It's the ARV's 300 and you got the contract for how much?
155,000.
And so what do you think you can dispo it for?
250 all day.
Oh my God.
It'll get snatched up because the 250, that's like $4,000 an acre. And I got it for like $2,000 an acre.
Okay, Matt, we are getting back on a Zoom when you get that deal done. Okay. Like that's a 100K almost deal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the one that gets you nervous. I actually went and filed an affidavit and memorandum of agreement just so I couldn't lose it. You know what I mean?
So Matt, if you want, I'll do it for free just because I'm excited for you. I'll double close that for you if you want. Like I'll do the funding and double close it for you.
Oh, okay.
If you want.
Definitely. Yeah.
So then your buyer wouldn't see your assignment.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because that's the one thing I was iffy on. That them seeing that $100,000 assignment.
It shouldn't matter, and it may not matter, but if you're worried about that, then just reach out to me and we'll double close it. We would just make sure your buyer's on the hook, right? And then I'll fund the 155 on the first closing, and then you'll turn around and do the second closing, same day, next day, and then that's it. You're done.
Yeah. Okay.
You'll pay a little bit of closing fees, but it's worth it. You'll pay a little bit of closing fees to double close it, but it's worth it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's plenty of equity. So.
Yeah. But anyway, That's a cool deal. And that's on that same list of 200.
Yeah, the exact list.
Oh my gosh, dude. So just so everybody knows, that's not normal to get two massive deals out of, one small list. But here's what I'll say.
I've been told I'm pretty lucky by local investors around here.
That you're lucky.
Yeah.
Think about it. The deal of a lifetime comes around once a week if you're in the game. And so you said something pivotal here, and I hope everybody caught this. And I'm going to go out on a limb here because I don't know you. But the fact that the minute you lock up a deal, you go back to your house, you went on appointment, lock up a deal, you go back to your house, and you pick up the phone and you start calling again, that tells me that you're approaching this business from the right perspective, which is lead gen is a never-ending faucet that you never turn off. You turn the faucet on and it's always on. And if you can continually be in a mindset of I call, I make offers, I do marketing, whatever I do to generate leads, whatever I do to get in front of sellers or agents, and whatever I do to make offers, that's how I'm going to be ultra successful at this business. If you have that mindset, then you'll never go hungry again. You'll be doing deals every month in and month out.
Yeah, I look at it as the next phone call could be the next deal, And
in your case, it probably is. Like it literally is the next deal, right? Yeah, but it's true. If it's not that one, it's the next one. And so when you show up that way, if you show up believing that this call is going to be the deal, and I don't want a normal deal, I want the deal of a lifetime, and you show up that way, guess what happens? Somehow, luckily, magically, the deal of a lifetime comes your way. Honestly, Matt, that is flipping genius. Good for you. Taking action, going out there and doing the work and seeing the blessing, seeing the result of that. What do you think is the biggest thing that you've learned through this process? Like on the first deal, or maybe this new deal, what's a big takeaway you could share with people that are working on it, trying to work on their first deal or trying to get their business off the ground?
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Just do what Jerry does and you'll get a deal. I promise you. I'm living proof. Like I started watching Jerry's YouTube videos and didn't know not a lick of anything about real estate. And heck, I've closed 5 deals this year, made more money.
And about to do the biggest deal, close to 6, maybe a 6-figure plus deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. Good for you. Love that. Guys, don't be afraid. I think that's what you're saying is don't be afraid, take action. I would probably add to that you think you need more information before you can start taking action. And I think you definitely want to continue learning and continue growing and add more information, more knowledge, but don't believe the lie that you're telling yourself that you just need to learn something else before you can start calling on leads. Like really, you don't. So guys, leave a comment and say, Matt, you're a flipping genius.